our administration, and our graduates. As our faculty and graduates enter, as a sign of pride, we're going to ask everybody to rise. Daniel, are we ready? We're ready. Okay. We're ready to roll.
יש צבא גדול שלוחם מכל הלב ונותן את הכל, לא חושב מה יהיה ומוסר את הלב, אחד בשביל כולם, כולם בשביל אחד, רצים קדימה. ישנו עם קטן מפוזר בכל קצות תבל, יום יבוא קרוב מאוד ואז הוא יתגאה, רק מי יגיע. זקנינו בבנינו בבנותינו בצאנינו בבקרינו, כולנו נלך, כל אחד מישראל זאת יקרה, זה לא חשוב מאיפה באת מי אתה לאן אתה הולך, כולנו ילדים שלך ואילוך, כל אחד מישראל בקרוב ילך, זה לא חשוב מאיפה באת מי אתה לאן אתה הולך, כולנו ילדים שלך ואילוך. עובר הזמן, מרגישים שהעולם כבר ממש מוכן, עוד שנה עברה ועוד שבוע נעלם, ואנחנו מוכנים ומצפים שהוא יגיע. ראינו הכל.
We are going to be welcoming our graduates on both sides. To my right, to your left is going to be our gentlemen, and the ladies are going to be to my left, to your right. Okay.
והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, בארץ אשר הרקע. והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, בארץ אשר הרקע. ימה בקדמה, ימה צפונה בלבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה, לך את פנה את ארץ ישראל. ימה בקדמה, ימה צפונה בלבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה, לך את פנה את ארץ ישראל. והתהלך בארץ הקדושה, בארץ אשר הרקע. ימה בקדמה, ימה צפונה בלבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה, לך את פנה את ארץ ישראל. ימה בקדמה, ימה צפונה בלבה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה,
Okay, please join us. Okay, please join us in the singing. Please join us in the singing. Shh. All right, let's settle down. Gentlemen, please find your seat areas. Ladies, the same, make sure you find your seats. Okay, please join us in the singing of O Canada. Please rise. Shh. Okay, shh. I'd like to call upon the president of the board of Yeshiva schools, Mr. Ames, shh, to please welcome us. Thank you, Mr. Ames.
Dear teachers, administration, parents, grandparents, Rabbi Grauer, and of course, our wonderful 2022 graduates. Before I speak, I want to take a moment to reflect on the recent loss that we as a school and as a community experienced this year. Julia Kashitsky, Zecher Tzaddikas Livracha, loved our Jewish community and loved our school and was a tremendous supporter and a wonderful friend who will be sorely missed. Her memory lives on through her family and through our wonderful students. A few weeks ago, our family attended our daughter Orly's, an alumnus of Ulpanah's, graduation from Stern College. And we spent a wonderful weekend with my uncle and aunt who live on Grant Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. My uncle is 95 years old, and I walked very slowly with him to the Young Israel of the Lower East Side on Shabbos morning. We had a lot of time to talk on our short walk, so I asked him where he had attended yeshiva as a child. He told me that because he grew up during the Depression and his mother refused to accept charity, he was only able to go to cheder for a few hours a day after he attended public school. He was remorseful that he had not had the opportunity to go to yeshiva, and I could tell it was something that almost 100 years later still bothered him. This got me thinking how fortunate we are that 100 years ago, our grandparents took the bold step to create Jewish schools which teach Limudei Kodesh and general studies subjects, but allowed us to be knowledgeable, practicing religious Jews, and also to attend university if we want and become professionals. It made me think about the challenges that you will face and the opportunities you will be presented with as you embark on your careers and lives following your attendance at Bnei Akiva schools. Those challenges will include remaining proud religious Jews, making sacrifices to send your children to Jewish schools, and standing up for Israel. You are so fortunate because your parents made the sacrifices to send you to Jewish school so you could get a good education in both Limudei Kodesh and general studies. And you should take a moment to thank them. I am confident that with the education you receive from Bnei Akiva schools, you will make the right decisions and stand up tall and proud to those challenges. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Bnei Akiva schools, I want to thank our teachers, Rabbi Grauer, the entire administration, and our committed and devoted faculty and board members who work so hard every moment of every day to help our students grow and succeed. And on behalf of the board of Bnei Akiva schools, Mazal Tov and much success to you, our graduating class of 2022. Rabbi Grauer.
Thank you, Mr. Ames. Okay, this is pretty exciting. כבוד הרבנים, צוות המורים, חברי הוועד, הורים וכמובן כל הבוגרים, ברוכים הבאים ותודה and welcome on the rabbis, my colleagues within the administration and faculty, members, of course, of the board of directors, parents, and our wonderful graduates. Seniors, I know there is an incredible amount of excitement in the room right now, and you're all waiting to get your diplomas, and some of you, some awards that will follow. But I'd like to ask you to try to focus for just a few minutes while I try to impart to you an important message that I'm hoping will be impactful and stay with you for years to come. Our high school years are supposed to be predictable. I was recently speaking to my daughter, Yonina, who's returning from Israel in Yirtzeh Hashem tomorrow. And she mentioned to me that for the first time in her life, she doesn't really have any idea what the next few years of her life are going to be like. It's a very simple, yet in many ways profound comment, because we often take for granted our sheltered elementary, middle, and high school years. We start at Netivot, Eitz Chaim, or Hamet, or one of the other elementary schools. If we're lucky and privileged to spend our high school years at either Or Chaim or Pana, to some extent, we know what to expect day in, day out. And this provides us with a certain measure of comfort, safety, security, and predictability that so many of us crave and love. Ein simcha k'ataret hasfekot. The greatest joy exists when there is no doubt. But then all of a sudden we graduate high school. Many of you will be blessed to have the opportunity to spend a year of study in Israel and growth. But that's when the real changes start to begin at the conclusion of that time. What do the next few years have in store for you? What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's plan? Will we recognize when Mazal hits us, and will we be able to maximize and take advantage of that Mazal to the greatest extent possible? A friend of mine recently told me that his parents made Aliyah from the UK. Shortly after the initial euphoria, his father, a well-respected professor of medicine, had something similar to a nervous breakdown, confusion, dizziness, anxiety, and even a little bit of depression. His neurologist said that with the trauma of the massive change that he had just experienced, living for 50 years in the same house, same language, same neighborhood, same routine, same community, all of a sudden overnight, things changed. He simply couldn't handle it. He eventually stabilized and he got back to his former self, but for the family, for a short few weeks, it was pretty scary. Now, this might sound a bit extreme, but change impacts all of us in different ways. You, our graduates, might be better prepared for changes that are to come because these last few years of high school have been anything but normal. The last 3 years of COVID have taught us so many lessons, not least of which is that we need to be able to adapt to changing circumstances, demonstrate resiliency, and find ways to be better prepared for whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu throws our way. Rav Shaul Yisraeli, whose picture now hangs in the halls of Or Chaim, in a beautiful address on Yom Yerushalayim in 1988, just 7 years before he passed away, he said something very meaningful that I recently came upon, and I've been thinking a lot about it. He writes the following. He said, "Hakatuv omer b'yachas la'avodat Hashem shehi tzricha lihiyot nechinat gilui bir'ada." וחז"ל דורשים על זה שבמקום גילה שם תהא הרעדה ובמקום הרעדה שם תהא הגילה. The Pasuk in Tehillim tells us that Avodat Hashem needs to be, in his words, Gilo birada, rejoicing while there's also trembling. Chazal explained that where there is rejoicing, there is also trembling. And in place of trembling, there will also be rejoicing. Rav Yisraeli continues. One more line I'd like to read from his essay. He writes, "Lamito shel davar, kol simcha Yisraelit, kol chag Yisraeli, kol gila Yehudit, hi be'echreach milaveh im hamusag shel ra'ada." Every simcha, every chag, every Jewish expression of happiness is automatically accompanied by trembling. Rav Shaul Yisraeli's focus was, of course, on Yom Yerushalayim and the simcha the Jewish people should be experiencing, all the while recognizing the uncertainty that lie ahead. It was, of course, true in 1988, and it could be true practically any year for that matter. But I think we could use the same structure in a beautiful way when we think about all transitions in our lives, including, of course, graduation. Change is inevitable. How we soften the impact and demonstrate greater resiliency, perhaps the answer lies in one of the key truths that we all know to be correct, and that is daily mitzvot. They're, of course, commandments from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they're also rooted in a comforting and eternal reality that help us to stay grounded and stable. Our parsha this week even hints at this. Parshat Ba'alocha discusses the mitzvah of Pesach Sheni. In many ways, the ultimate second chance. I'm not saying anything that most people in the room don't know. God gives us the opportunity to make up for a missed Korban Pesach. It isn't strange that he gives us this opportunity, but what's strange is that it's the only mitzvah where this seems to exist. Not Rosh Hashanah, not Yom Kippur, not Sukkot. Why here? Why Pesach? Why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us a second chance? He's Damnut Shniyah. There are lots of answers that could be given, but maybe it's because Pesach represents the birth and creation of our nation, the belonging to the Jewish people, and for that, everyone needs a second chance to be in that. If a Jew wasn't able to participate in the Korban Pesach the first time around, it is so important that he or she feels part of our nation, part of our mitzvot, that they will be given a second chance at it. Let's remember that perhaps HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave that second chance also because they asked, but there was something inherent in the mitzvah that required it. Think about it while we're reading the Parsha this week. The Jewish people come to Moshe and Aaron and they say, Lama nigara? Why should we be deprived of fulfilling this amazing mitzvah? We also want to participate. The language of Lama nigara is the same language chosen by the incredibly inspiring Benot Tzlofchad who say, Lama nigara? All they want is a piece of Israel to call their own. They wanted to be part of Klal Yisrael with a piece of land. And as we know, God gave it to them. In both cases, HaKadosh Baruch Hu recognized their deep desire and innate longing to fulfill these mitzvot and be part of Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. And it was that desire that carried the day. They saw these mitzvot not just as an opportunity and certainly not as an obligation, but instead they saw these mitzvot as a privilege and as a way of life that they felt was worth fighting for. Just over 20 years ago, Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Tzadik Livracha, he wrote a short book as a wedding gift for his son, in which he asks a question, a very important question: why am I a Jew? In classic Rabbi Sachs fashion, and I'm telling you he would be so upset, I'm not doing justice to the short book that he wrote, only quoting one sentence, but it's so rich with meaning. My favorite line in the whole book, he writes, I am a Jew because, being a child of my people, I have heard the call to add my chapter to its unfinished story. I am a stage on its journey, a connecting link between the generations. The dreams and hopes of my ancestors live on in me, and I am the guardian of their trust now and for the future. To our dear graduates, and this is the message I'd like to leave you with this evening, Bogrot u'bogrim yikarim ve'ahuvim, this is you. You are the child of your parents and grandparents. You are the link and the guardian of their trust. You are their future. Much change will begin to happen in your life as you exit those doors back there. But not everything should change. Hold on to mitzvot observance. Don't ever let go. Even try to improve upon them as much as you can. The Jewish people in the desert, men and women alike, both in terms of Pesach Sheni and with the Benot Tzlofchad, they craved the opportunity to fulfill mitzvot, and they fought for them. Mitzvot bind our nation. They keep us strong. They are the anchor that we should hold on to in turbulent times, and they are bound within our community. Mitzvot keep us grounded and true to ourselves and to our upbringing. In many ways, this is one of the reasons that spending time learning in Israel or even here, but continuing in your Limudei Kodesh as much as possible after you graduate is so important. There are, of course, no guarantees in life, but that time often helps you to become guardians of your family's Torah trust. You are all graduating from Opana and from Or Chaim. We are so much more than a school, and we are so proud of you. You have the tools needed. As we began to exit from COVID this year, we spent much time emphasizing observance of mitzvot, and this was not stam. This was very calculated and intentional. COVID separated us from our synagogues, from our schools, our Shabbatons, and we needed to do something big to begin to repair some of the spiritual damage. And we as a school, as a yeshiva, have only just begun in this regard. Even in the context of Bnei Akiva of Toronto, our youth movement, we brought them back with a roar because you, our students, needed the positive, pro-social, growth-oriented programs that Bnei Akiva brings each week. Bringing that back to today, graduation should indeed be a time of joy, and we are excited and we're going to cheer for you. And the simcha that you walk down the aisle with is going to continue for the rest of the night. But there's also a little bit of trembling. Gilu birada. The joy should be real. You deserve it. You've worked really hard, and you've accomplished an incredible amount. I'd love to do a list of shout-outs like they do at the Open Shabbaton, but they'd go on way too long. I don't want you to miss the rides later tonight. The joy should be meaningful, and your parents, grandparents, and all guests, you should all be unbelievably proud of each and every one of our graduates. But the joy should be mixed with trembling as well. The trembling should also be real. Final idea. The Ramban writes that Bnei Yisrael's travel schedule was random, almost illogical. The Jewish people would at times reach a tough spot in the desert in which they would want to leave immediately. But the Adonai cover kept them there. Or vice versa. They would get to a beautiful environment, a special place, and they would want to set up camp and stay only to see the cloud move on and leave them forward. Rav Eliyahu Desser in the Michtav Eliyahu writes that Hashem wanted to teach the Jewish people that life is not simple. The Torah is teaching us, as we say in Hebrew, Hachayim Hem Lo Picnic. The trembling of today should be because the next few years will be filled with uncertainties. But remember that while your feet are mutzavot arza, try and stay Roshan Bashamayim. Look up towards the Adonai HaKavod, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for help, for guidance, and for direction. We wish we were in the midbar, watching the Adonai HaKavod from this week's parsha move and stop, move and stop. We think that belief in God would have been simple, but instead, it is indeed much harder for us to see Hashem's presence in our lives. But it is there. Being focused on mitzvot is, of course, a commandment from Hashem, but will also help keep you stable in the winds of change. Please remember that you are being called upon to add your chapter to the link between generations. The dreams and hopes of your ancestors live on in you, and you are the guardians of their trust. Tzu'u l'shalom, chazru l'shalom, v'Hashem yivarech etchem b'chol ma'aseh yedechem. As you journey on, hold that trust dear, close to your heart, and don't ever let it go. We are so very proud of each and every one of you. Hashem yishmor etchem u'vorachem me'ata v'ad olam, and Mazal Tov to you all. Okay, now the moment that you've all been waiting for. I'd like to call upon Mrs. Sharon Fixler, Assistant Principal at Opanato Road, to begin with the presentation of the diplomas to our Opanato Road graduating class. Please join her with Mrs. Sherry Weinberg, Director of Guidance, Mrs. Shira Lipner, Director of Judaic Studies, and Ms. Marion Besson, Director of Student Life. Ladies, the floor is yours.
Okay. Just as we start to call the graduates, we just want to let you know there are not so many perks with being a board member at Bnei Akiva schools. However, we do have a long-standing tradition that board members are called upon to give diplomas in the years that their children graduate. This year, there happens to be a number of board members with graduating children, and we're very grateful for their time and service to the school community. We're happy to let you all know that we have a photographer taking pictures of each student as they come on the stage, and we'll make those pictures available to you online in the coming days. Okay. Ariella Aronson.
תשיב בי את הרוח, תוריד ממני את הגשם, היה לי ים זמן לנוח, התרגלתי קצת בעצם, במרחב הפתוח, רואים באופק את השמש,
שושנה בקר.
בסוף תתברר הדרך, רק פתח לנו שערי אמונה, שערי הבנה, שאין לנו מלך, אלא אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הים.
אליסה בן הראש. Leora Birnbaum. We would like to call upon Mr. Fred Birnbaum, previous member of the board and longtime volunteer, to present Leora with her diploma.
פתח לנו שערי החלה, שערי התחלה, כי אין לנו מלך, אלא אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות.
Adol Biss.
על כל הימים, בכל הלילות, רק אתה, סיבת הסיבות, עילת העילות, נורת העילות, ורק לך נאה להודות על כל הימים וכל הלילות.
Yael Cohen. Simcha Mazal Cohen. Bailey Feintoff.
מרגישים שהחיים כל כך קשים, מה יהיה עוד יום עד שנה, אבל אני מחייך להודות.
Yael Grin.
יש לי אמונה. לפעמים מרגישים שהחיים כל כך קשים, מה יהיה עוד יום עד שנה, אבל אני מחייך להודות להמשך, כי יש לי אמונה.
Hannah Halberstadt. Ariella Hanukaiva.
ישלח לי את הנס שלי, ישלח לי את הנס שלי.
Ayat Himes. Dasi Levy.
אסור לך להתייאש, תמשיך לבקש, תשמור את התקווה. נתן תוסיף בזמן, לקרוא לטובה. אסור לך להתייאש, תמשיך לבקש, תשמור את התקווה.
Hannah couldn't be with us this evening, so we accept this diploma on her behalf. Liel Mammon. Lital Menasherov.
שלח לי את הבן שלי.
Talia Meyer. We would like to call upon past member of the Executive Board of B'nai Akiva Schools for many years and current chair of the Board of World's B'nai Akiva, Mr. Dov Meyer, as well as past chair of the Board of B'nai Akiva Toronto for many, many years and current member of the Board of B'nai Akiva of the U.S. and Canada, Mrs. Karen Meyer. We would like to ask both of you to please join us to present Talia with her diploma.
ששון ושמחה, חתם וקלה, גילה ורינה, ניצב וחברה, אבא ואחווה, שלום וריון, חתם וקלה. השם מלך, השם מלך, השם ימלוך,
Emma Muscat. We would like to call upon past member of the board and longtime volunteer, Mr. Joel Muscat, to please join us on stage to present Emma with her diploma. Isla Naxon. Devorah Naxon. Nava Reamer. Annie Rosenblum. Zahava Ross.
אדמה, נשמה
המים, חום האש, צליל המים, אני מרגיש זאת בגופי, ברוחי ונשמתי, אדמה ושמיים, חום האש,
Kayla, say it!
אני מרגיש זאת בגופי, ברוחי ונשמתי.
Tehila Silver!
אדמה ושמיים, חום האש, צליל המים, אני מרגיש טוב בגופי, ברוחי ונשמתי.
Adira Singer! Gloria Stein! Leora Tenenbaum! Taya Zeligson!
תדליק את האש, תגידי אם יש, נאיר את הלילה, הלילה כולו. תדליק את האש, תגידי אם יש, נשיר עד הבוקר, הבוקר.
Javi Zelenik!
תדליק את האש.
פייר!
תדליק את האש.
And last but certainly not least, Leah Zwibo!
שלא מרגישים, הלהבה שבוערת מבפנים, אני בתוך הנשמה, מהירה וחמה, ישן משהו.
Okay, a round of applause for all of our Hatanach graduates. I'd like to call upon Mr. Jonathan Parker, Assistant Principal at Yeshiva Orchaim, to begin presenting the diplomas to the Orchaim graduating class, along with Mr. Jerry Mazal, Dean of Students, Rabbi Noah Sonnenberg, Director of Judaic Studies, and finally, Rabbi Noam Holtz, Mashgiach Ruchani.
Aaron Abrams. Amram Asayag. Taiji Becker.
כל אדם מגורש מגן עדן, כל אחד עובר מבול.
David Blumenfeld. We would like to call upon past member of the board and longtime volunteer, Mr. Aaron Blumenfeld, to please join us on the stage to present David with his diploma.
כל אדם הולך לו מבית אבא, כל אחד כמעט עוקד את בנו, עמוק בפנים
Nathan Coleman.
שרק רוצה למחוק בה, ויש מלאכים שימלטו אותו. וגם אני חולם כמו יוסף,
Amram Esabag.
גם אותי זרקו לבור, גלגל חוזר בתוך תחבור.
Shalom Foyer.
כמו דוד אני עושה מזה מזמור, עושה מזה מזמור.
Avichai Gavrin. We would like to call upon past chair of the board and longtime volunteer, Mrs. Ashira Gavrin, to please join us on stage to present Avichai with his diploma.
לביסה כמו דבורה, כל צבא שרק יבוא. כמו כל אחד, גם לי בוכה בסתר.
A.B. Grunfeld.
וגם אני חולם כמו יוסף, כן גם אותי.
David Harris.
גם חוזר בתוך תחפושת, וכמו דוד אני עושה מזה מזמור, עושה מזה מזמור.
Gabriel Ironi. Yechezkel Uni.
כל אדם נברא בצלם, בכלל בוער סודות ורמזים. כל אחד הוא חומר טוב,
Gabriel Kaplan.
תפקיד חדש בתוך סיפור עתיק ימים.
Boaz Katzman. We would like to call upon the Vice President of the Board and longtime volunteer, Mr. Mordechai Katzman, to please join us on stage to present Boaz with his diploma. Aryeh Keller. Adam Leibowitz. Eitan Lipson. We would like to call Rabbi Noah Sonnenberg, Director of Judaic Studies at Yeshiva Or Chaim, to present the next group of diplomas to our graduating students.
Edward Mikulski. Yochanan Melnick. Joseph Newman. Gabriel Nickerson. Erez Nidzwiecki. Philip Nussbaum. Jake Rabinovich. We would like to call upon the current board member and volunteer, Mr. Daniel Rabinovich, to please join us on stage to present Jacob with his diplomas. Ethan Ravino. Michael Roberts. Daniel Sachs. William Singer Nussbaum. Chaim Strauss. We would like to call upon the current member of the Executive Board and longtime volunteer, Mr. Jonathan Strauss, to please join us on stage to present Chaim with his diploma. Avishai Tebeka.
רגע ברגע הולך, אל תשאלי אנה ולמה ואיך, על חוף מבטחים תפתחי את ליבך, תראי איך ברגע הכל יחייך.
Orel Tzvi.
חלום פתוח, אוויר מלוח, קו המים מתקרב לחור. זמן נוזל עכשיו נשבות לנוע, לפחות שבוע, לא נחשוב על שום דבר. חיכינו לו, והנה בא היום.
Okay, now a round of applause for our YOC graduates. Thank you to our entire Panah and our Chaim administration as well. Okay, it is now time to hear from our valedictorians. I would like to first call upon Mrs. Sharon Fixler to introduce our 2022 Panat Award valedictorian, Amy Rosenblum, which will be followed by Mr. Jonathan Parker, who will introduce our YOC valedictorian, Boaz Katzman. Okay.
Hi. In order to appreciate the essence of Annie Rosenblum and what makes her such an exemplary Opanadara graduate and this year's valedictorian, look no further than this week's parak of Pirkei Avot, Parak Bet. In Mishnah Aleph, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi teaches us which is the proper path that a man should choose for himself, whatever is a credit to himself and earns him the esteem of fellow men. This statement easily connects to Annie, who has earned herself a stellar reputation as someone with excellent midot who represents really the best that Old Panah has to offer. In Mishnah Vav, Hillel teaches us that in a place where there are no leaders, strive to be a leader. We only need to look back at 4 years of Annie volunteering to be chazanit at Tefillah and spearheading her famous Mincha Monday initiative as part of her chinuch committee role to see Annie's leadership skills. Then we come upon Mishnah Tet, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai states that if you have studied much Torah, do not take credit for yourself because that is what you were created to do. Here again, we see a direct parallel to Annie. After her incredible accomplishment of completing the entire Tanakh, all 929 prakim over the course of 3.5 years and making a siyum this past March, Annie modestly didn't make a fuss. She only agreed to the school-wide siyum as a way to encourage others to learn more Torah, and how wonderful that her example resulted in a group of grade 9 students being inspired to learn Tanakh that very night with an eye towards completing the whole Tanakh themselves. And because of her understanding that Torah learning is what we are created to do, Annie amazingly started right back at the beginning to learn all of Tanakh once again. In Mishnah Yud Zayin, Rabbi Yosei teaches us that all of our actions should be for the sake of heaven. If you know Annie, you know she lives by this ideal in the many acts of chesed and volunteering that she performs, whether for Yachad, Friendship Circle, Chai Lifeline, or KCC. The great British writer C.S. Lewis once famously said that integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. But how many of us truly live this way? Annie does. She truly exemplifies this ideal of doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. She's proven to be an incredible dugma ishit, a personal example in so many ways, whether welcoming in new students to Ol Panah, taking the time to stack chairs and set up the shul after an assembly, or walking around the room at her own siyum, being sure to personally thank each and every person who attended. Her teachers said about Annie, "There was never a time I didn't get a thank you and a smile from her. She always asked how I was doing, and when she organized intramurals for the school, she was always inclusive and encouraging, no matter their ability or background. I have taught Annie for 3 years and found her to be consistently caring and kind to her classmates and respectful to her teachers. I was blown away when during Q&A time in class, Annie asked what's the best way to do cheshbon hanefesh every night. It was clear that she took this activity incredibly seriously. She's a person who truly wants to grow and learn from her past actions. There are not too many people who can shoot a 3-pointer, learn literally the whole Tanakh, master some of the hardest courses in grade 12, and be genuinely nice to everyone in school. Annie is one of the few people who can achieve all this, and some of them all on the same day. It's really been not only a pleasure, but a privilege to learn with Annie over these past 4 years. Her thirst for personal growth and broader horizons is apparent in every class. There are many stars on the basketball court and a roster full of honors students. What makes Annie so unique and worthy of this honor is that she's able to do all of that with humility, integrity, and driven by true values. To be honest, it is really our honor to have her as our valedictorian. It is my pleasure and honor to call upon this year's Old Panada Road valedictorian, Annie Rosenblum. I'm going to give you your award, and then I'm going to let you speak. The Nachman Sokol Valedictorian Award for Old Panada Road is presented to Annie Rosenblum.
Thank you, Mrs. Fixler. Bershus, Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi, teachers, administrators, parents, family, friends, and of course, our graduating class. Picture this. The year was 1992, and the Chicago Bulls were playing the LA Lakers in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The score was 91-92. And the Bulls were down by 1 point. With 9 seconds left, Scottie Pippen passes it from the baseline to Michael Jordan. With 2 seconds left of the game, Jordan shoots the ball. It hits the backboard, swirls around the net, and misses. The Bulls lost Game 1 of the NBA Finals. For the average person, this missed shot would be reason enough to quit. Having to carry the weight on their shoulders, it would seem impossible to move on from a moment like that. But not so with Michael Jordan. And this didn't only happen once to him. It was one of 36 times Michael Jordan was trusted to and missed the game-winning shot. This moment, and the 35 others, demonstrated a time when Jordan faced an incredible challenge to overcome that loss, which seemed to be his personal responsibility. That was his impossible. We all face those moments in our lives too. Moments that are our personal impossibles. Things that we struggle with and find challenging to overcome. These impossibles can be more than just a point. They could be lifelong battles we have within us. When we are in the midst of the struggle or the challenge, how do we find the strength to keep on going? Perhaps we can find insight in the following pshat. The famous pasuk that introduces the Brit Ben Habtarim is as follows: "Vayotze oto achutza, vayomer habet na shmaima esfor kachavim im tuchal lisparotam, vayomer lo ko yeh zarecha." Hashem told Abraham, leave his tent, look towards Shemayim, count the stars, and then Hashem says, "This is how your offspring will be." The most classic interpretation that we have learned since kindergarten is that Hashem is telling Abraham that his descendants will be as numerous as the stars. But how can that be? Okay, yeah, walking to Sovi's Arab Shabbos or going to the zoo on Chol Hamoed makes it seem like we are a big percent of the population. In reality, we aren't. The Jewish people make up less than 1% of the 7 billion people on earth. Could it be that Hashem didn't keep his promise? Maybe there's an alternate way we can look at this. Vayomer habet na hashemaima. Hashem says, look towards Shemayim. Usvar kachavim im tuchal lisparotam. Count the stars if you're able to. And then Avraham Abinu began to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Abraham knew it was impossible to count the stars. Hashem knew it was impossible to count the stars. But Abraham attempted anyway. He started counting despite knowing that it was an impossible task. Then Hashem said, Ko yeh zarecha. This is how your descendants will be. They will be a people who attempt the impossible, a people that don't let anything stand in their way of their goals. They always try and give it their all, no matter what. The Jewish people are a people who can fulfill the impossible. This year in Pirkei Avos class, we learned one of Rabbi Kurtz's favorite Mishnayos, and I think our class can attest. He doesn't say that so often. It is not up to you to finish a task, but you are not exempt from trying. This Mishnah is telling us that we shouldn't dare think for 1 second that just because the task is impossible, we could put up our feet and refrain from trying. No matter how insurmountable, how daunting, or how discouraging the task may be, we must always try. Every day we face our own impossibles, whether in regards to ruchnius aspects, like keeping mitzvos or davening, or even in relation to our physical selves, like reaching a seemingly impossible sleep goal, or something that I think we could all relate to, academic goals. There have been so many times throughout our high school career that the amount of work just seemed impossible to accomplish. Yet somehow, we are always able to succeed. Our school has an incredible network of teachers and staff who help every single student with patience and encouragement overcome the individual challenges that they face. So with that, I want to thank every staff member who comes to school every day and continues to teach us, guide us, inspire us, support us, and nurture our growth. Thank you for helping each and every one of your students overcome their own impossible. I want to thank our incredible administration who works tirelessly to create an amazing school for us. Not only does our school focus on constructing a wonderful environment inside the classroom, but outside the classroom too. There are a multitude of opportunities that students have, like sports teams, Model UN, my favorite, Matmidot, JEP, Judaic Enrichment Program, and so much more. To all of our parents, thank you for instilling in us, since the day we were born, your belief in us and in our ability to defeat the impossible. Thank you to my mom and my dad, Zev, Emmy, Mia, and Jack, and my grandparents, Bubby and Zadie, and Softy and Zadie. Thank you for being the most amazing family I could have ever asked for. Thank you. Thank you for always helping me and being there for me. I know that I wouldn't be half the person I am today without you. I love you. Thank you to the Ribono Shel Olam. Thank you. Thank you, Hashem, for giving me the chance to have gone to Ulpana, the place that has nurtured me onto the trajectory of becoming the best Jew and the best person that I could be. And last, but definitely not least, thank you to my grade, my classmates, my friends who have been with me for the past 4 years. From kindergarten grade 9, to Color War, to Mrs. Weiberg's Cottage, to Senior Ditch Day, and to Ruby Foods just last week. You guys have seriously been the most amazing grade. Starting Purim grade 10 until today, we've been thrown curveballs in every aspect of our lives. Yet look at what we've been able to accomplish. During the height of Corona, we were able to pull off an incredible Rabbi production completely online. This year, we organized and ran, honestly, if I may say so myself, the best Shabbaton the school has ever had despite all the restrictions. Our very own Prez and Treasurer, Hannah and Chavi, are so versatile with their ability to plan amazing programming, whether we are online or in person. Our grade really does epitomize the ability to face and overcome the impossible. To my fellow graduates, we stand upon the cusp of infinite impossibility. We are beginning a time in our lives about to enter the real world, where we have limitless opportunities to reach our goals, create Kiddushei Hashem, expand boundaries, and initiate change. And at the exact same time, we are also entering a stage where we are bound to face adversity, hardships, and challenges. We are guaranteed to fail and to make mistakes, but we must continue on and always attempt the impossible. We can't forget that we have the DNA given to us from Avraham Avinu, DNA that has inscribed within it the innate ability to pursue the impossible and to always rise up to the task. And to everyone here in this room, we have to remember how special the Jewish people are. Mi ke'amcha Yisrael. We must utilize our inherent ability to achieve the impossible. And we have to remember, no matter what, like the Mishnah teaches us, that we always have to try. Our very existence is proof enough how every day we defy the odds and we overcome obstacles that are blatantly impossible. We have to learn from our leaders and from our Gedolim to never stop trying when things get hard. To learn from Moshe Rabbeinu, who achieved his impossible. He said to Hashem, Hashem, how can I be the leader who gives the Torah to the Jewish people? I can't speak. I have a stutter. I have a lisp. How can I do it? It seems impossible for him. And lo and behold, it was Dafka Moshe Rabbeinu, the leader who couldn't speak properly, who delivered the Torah to his people. Why? To teach to future generations that you can always achieve your impossible. To learn from Nachman ben Aminadav, who literally had an entire sea before him, and without a second thought, he jumped in, because he knew that achieving his impossible was possible with proper emunah in Hashem. And even to learn from Michael Jordan, the best basketball player to ever live, how he overcame his impossible 36 times on the basketball court. How he didn't just give up. He took advantage of the opportunity and utilized it to reach his own potential. May we learn from all of our leaders and from our unbelievable history that we can accomplish anything. They say that every generation farther from Matan Torah is on a lower and lower madrega. Many of us despair and think, how can we be the generation that ushers in the Mashiach? It's an impossible test, but we absolutely can. We must look at the seemingly impossible challenge that lies before us and begin to count the stars, one by one. To start one mitzvah at a time, one act of chesed at a time, one pasuk from the Torah at a time, and it will ultimately lead us to be the generation that escorts the Mashiach and the third Beis HaMikdash, b'meira b'yameinu, amen.
Yashar Kochech, Annie, and Mazal Tov, very well said. Having just celebrated Shavuot last week, it's hard to make a speech about someone named Boaz without drawing inspiration from the Megillah. According to Root Rabbah, Boaz was the leading sage of his generation, and our own Boaz did his very best to live up to that model. Looking at this year alone, Boaz is in the sciences and math, but also honors English, philosophy, and the top Gemara shiur. Not only that, but his marks over the last 4 years have been almost exclusively in the 90s, irrespective of the academic discipline. Boaz is someone who takes his scholarship seriously across the whole range of Torah, Umada, on which Or Chaim prides itself, and sets the academic bar high for himself and for his peers. The Midrash continues that Boaz and the Sanhedrin on which he served implemented the practice of greeting others in the name of God with the phrase Hashem imachem. This speaks to a man for whom spirituality and hashgacha pratit are at the core of his being, and our Boaz is no different. As Mazkir of Bnei Akiva, Boaz motivated those around him to live up to the ideals of Bnei Akiva, specifically by lifting up his peers through planning, running, and coming to every event and inspiring others to do the same. Boaz also attends night seder 4 times a week, completed a siyum on Masachet Sukkah, and any evenings he missed, he made up during lunch breaks and Shabbatot. He chose to be in the Gemara B'Ivrit class and will be going to Israel to Yeshiva with plans of serving in the IDF and making Aliyah. All of this and more speak to Boaz's commitment to a life of Torah and mitzvot and active, proud Zionism. Pirkei Avot tells us that Rabbi Shimon Omer Shloshak Tarim Hem Keter Torah v'Keter Kehuna v'Keter Malchut v'Keter Shem Tov Oleh al Gabehen. There are 3 crowns in life: the crown of Torah, the crown of the priesthood, the crown of royalty, and yet the crown of a good name rises above them all. We've already established that Boaz attained a Keter Torah and learning, and I've duchened with Boaz enough times at the Or Chaim Minyan to recognize his Keter Kehuna. While the Keter Malchut is probably out of reach right now, the Keter Shem Tov is perhaps Boaz's most remarkable achievement. When asked about Boaz, his teachers had the following to say, quote, "He's always kind to both teachers and fellow students. He is liked by all." Quote, "I learned he does not take things at face value. He questions events and explanations offered and has a strong hypocrisy meter." Quote, "Boaz was the driving force behind his English honors class taking a voluntary trip to the AGO on a day when the rest of the grade had a day off. During exams, when students are only obligated to be at school if they have an exam that day, Boaz was at the school minyan without fail, even if he was the only one in his grade there. Everything Boaz does, he does because he understands that if you want to achieve something, you need to put in the hard work. Watching him grow and mature over these past few years, it is clear that all the hard work has paid off. It is not just that I am proud of him as a student, I am inspired by him as a person." And all of these things were written by his teachers and his Rebbeim, but I think we all witnessed Boaz Keter Shem Tov just a moment ago when he and his father approached the stage together, and Boaz wouldn't climb the stairs until his father had gone before him. If there is one fundamental truth on which Boaz Shem Tov rests, it is this: Boaz always has the strength of his convictions and does not waver for standing up for what he knows to be good and right.
Taylor Mawley, in his poem, totally like, whatever, tells students to say what you believe in a manner that bespeaks the determination with which you believe it. Because contrary to the wisdom of the bumper sticker, it is not enough these days to simply question authority. You have to speak with it, too. Boaz scholarship, leadership, connection, and Shem Tov all speak with authority about the midot, character, and strength of the 2022 Nachman Sokol Valedictorian of Yeshivat Or Chaim, Boaz Katzman.
Thank you, Mr. Parker, for the kind words. And thank you, Annie, for setting a bar really, really high. How's everyone doing tonight? It's very rare that I'm given the opportunity to express myself in front of 700 people. So with that in mind, if you can all take out your phones and put in the codes EATS-BOASK78 into your Uber Eats app, that would be greatly appreciated. Good evening, Rabbi, faculty, friends, and family. As the word family echoes through your minds, you most likely begin to think of the loved ones sitting to your left, your right, one of the graduates, maybe two. But as the echo throws the word family right back in my direction, my first instinct is not just to think about my family, see it right over there, but I begin to think of my brothers sitting right over here. The blissfully compassionate class of 2022. Or Chaim has taught me that foundations are what makes us who we are. They're the basis of our actions and our decisions. And our life is the sum of these decisions. While we may not realize it, high school provides us with the building blocks we need to build our foundations of knowledge and understanding, morals, values, and the foundation of our sense of camaraderie and community. The decision to choose the right building blocks allows us to manipulate the architecture of our foundation and provides us with the opportunity to synthesize a life based on Torah, Avodat Hashem, and Gilul Chasadim with our drive to thrive in the multiple facets of life we have the opportunity to chase. Whether it be competing on the basketball court or Model UN, taking part in the Race Equity and Society Club, Tai Chi with Tai Chi, Night Seder, aspiring to pursue a career in medicine, law, commerce, or be the next big Rav. With the building blocks we have been given at Or Chaim, the possibilities are endless. And as the class of 2022 closes its chapter, we'd like to thank Rabbi Grauer, Mr. Rapp, the executive board, administration, Rabbi, and our teachers, who through their hard work, dedication, and passion for education, have meticulously crafted these building blocks and have given us the tools to succeed. Because of them, the limit to our success does not exist. And I'd like to take a moment to thank the parents in the room, because if even one of you decided to send your child to a different school, we would not be the men we are today. Each and every one of your sons contributes something special to our class, and it couldn't have been done without your constant loving care and your desire for our success. And grandparents, thank you for having your kids. Aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, you're all right too. And to my family, Ima, Abba, thank you for choosing Or Chaim. Thank you for driving me whenever and cooking for me always. And more importantly, thank you for your support on and off the court that has allowed me to become the man I am today. And thank you for giving me two amazing brothers to share memories with. You guys are the real MVP. Saba and Savta, your home has always been a second home to me, and I'm blessed to have you in my life. And my Saba and Savta in Israel, they're not here. Although you haven't physically been here, I've always felt your presence and motivation. Saba and Savta, thank you for building this family. As we stand here at graduation, I find it fitting that in last week's Parsha Naso, we read about the final inauguration of the Mishkan. Am Yisrael had just reached a significant milestone, finishing the Mishkan and moving forward to its functional state. So too, here we are today, passing a significant milestone and moving forward. But this being the case, it's a bit peculiar how this Parsha ends. It's a bit whack. The Parsha ends, Uveva Moshe alo al-moed ledaber ito, vayishma et hakol midaber elav, me'al hakaporet asher al aron hayidut, mibein shnei hakrovim vayidaber elav. When Moshe went into the tent of meeting to speak with God, he heard the voice addressing him from above the cover that was on top of the ark, between the keruvim, and he spoke to him. This is a moment they've been anticipating. This is a graduation of the Mishkan. And oddly, it is at this very point that we are given the most ambiguous pasuk we could ever ask for. And he spoke to him. We don't know who spoke to who. We don't know who said what. Why is this pasuk so cryptic? And to strengthen this challenge, it should be noted that this is the only time in the entire Torah where the word vaydaber is used and doesn't say what was said. In a discussion with Rav Aviner, he told me that this is exactly the point the Torah wants to stress here. The content of the conversation doesn't matter. What matters is that there was a conversation. God spoke to man. Let that sink in. How many times is the pasuk Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe written? A lot. And how many times do we take these psukim for granted? How many times do we read them blindly and carry on to the next pasuk? In a generation of the information revolution, we often lose perspective. Drowning in the content, we lose touch with the contact. The Torah therefore utilizes this pinnacle moment to pull us out of the water, to specifically not focus on what was said, because right now the instruction doesn't matter. What matters is that there was a communication, there was a relationship between man, Moshe, and Hashem. And what screams we have a relationship more than a conversation, or even more so, a private one? Vaydaber elav. There is nothing more powerful or potent that could have been said at this momentous occasion. While we may believe the essence of our holiness exists only in our instructions, it is our relationship with Hashem that allows us to be the light up the world. We entered Or Chaim for the first time freshman year as alumni of Netivot, Associated, Eitz Chaim, Or Amet, and the Ottawa Jewish Community School. We had different backgrounds, different goals and aspirations, but after our first Tish, our first Mishmar, our first Shabbaton, united as a freshman of Or Chaim, we adopted the phrase, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Even though each day may have felt long, and I really don't want to say this line because it's the most cliche line, it's in every single speech, the 4 years would pass in a blink of an eye. And it was our job to have fun with it, enjoy the moment, and embrace it. But as the years progressed in the melting pot that is Or Chaim, we have not only stuck true to these words, we have become the Talmidim and dignitaries of YOC. Not just because grade 11 and 12 marks are the only marks that matter for Canadian universities, but because we mattered, and putting effort into our studies was a testament to that. Together, we embraced each other's similarities and differences, and created a culture infusing the school with a love of Torah, Avat Hashem, Achdut, and Chicken Nest, within the barred windows of 159 Elmore Avenue that we hope will succeed us for years to come. My brothers, I've had the opportunity to learn from you and grow with you, some of you for 15 years and some of you for 8 months. From tissues in the office and the night's victory mosh pit, to jumping on cardboard boxes for some reason, teaching the young ones Nun Nigurim, and everything in between, we have brought the light to Or Chaim. Not just with our academic success and our thirst for Torah, but with the relationships and connections we have built with Hashem, each other, and the entire school. The grade 9, 10, and 11 students have looked up to us, but we have never once looked down on them. Because to us, it was never about the destination, the information, the graduation. Just like the inauguration of the Mishkan, the essence of our high school journey was never about the content. It was about the contact. My brothers, it won't be the marks on our report cards that we'll remember or be remembered for. Rather, it will be the marks we left on each other and on those around us. The connections we forged. It is this pasuk Vaydaber elav that will represent our class, the YLC graduating class of 2022. There will be ups and downs, successes and failures, but if we maintain our relationships and recognize the significance of the connections with those around us, success won't go to our head, and failure won't go to our heart. As we leave Or Chaim ablaze with the flames of Torah and brotherhood, embodying the slogan, so much more than a school, it has been our privilege to fuel the light of Or Chaim. And now it's time to bring the light of Or Chaim to life. Mazal tov to my brothers, the YLC class of 2022, will have some tough shoes to fill. I think it's somewhere here.
Thank you, Boaz. Well done. Thank you, Annie. I'd now like to call upon the principal of Bnei Akiva Schools, Mr. Hillel Rapp, to preside over the presentation of awards to our graduates.
I'll get it right. Or not. Yeah, good enough. Hello, everyone. The following are awards, are honors bestowed upon our students for excellence achieved in a variety of disciplines, as well as in leadership and community service through all the years of high school. These awards are recognitions of achievement, but not the only evidence of achievement. In that regard, this evening belongs to all of you as graduates. As you hear your name, please approach the stage to receive your award. As a reminder, we are happy to let you know that we have a photographer taking pictures of each student as they come on stage, and we will make those pictures available to you. To begin, I would like to call upon Rabbi Noah Sonnenberg to present the Morris and Claire Jacobs Award for Excellence in Judaic Studies to Shalom Foyer. I would like to call upon Mrs. Shira Lipner to present the Bnei Akiva Schools Award for Excellence in Judaic Studies to Leora Tenenbaum. I would like to call Mrs. Monica Chakron and Mr. Eric Saltzman to present the Dr. Masuda Award for Excellence in General Studies to Leora Birnbaum and Chaim Strauss. Right on the mark, right? I would like to call Mrs. Arlene Ripsman and Mr. Efi Palvanov to present the Bnei Akiva Schools STEM Award for Excellence in Science and Math to Hannah Halberstadt, Gabriel Kaplan, and Michael Roberts.
Why don't we do two? It's much more efficient. Why don't we just do two? Picture, gentlemen, come.
I would like to call Dr. Jana Nadler to present the Bnei Akiva Schools Award for Excellence in English to Otto Bisk. I would like to call Mr. Michael Teversham to present the Mrs. Marcia Raisin Award for Excellence in Social Studies to Emma Muscat.
Seth.
I would like to call Mrs. Nikki Kagan to present the Bnei Akiva Schools Liberal Arts Award for Excellence in English and Social Sciences to Eitan Lipson. I would like to call Ms. Miriam Besson and Mr. Gerald Lazar to present the Esther Malka Schwartz and Adele Cooperstein Award for Contribution to School Activities to Hannah Halberstadt and Aaron Abrams. I would like to call Rabbi Eitan Aviner to present the Shuki Hecht Morris M. Silverberg and Leo Slomovitz Award for Character and Commitment to Torah Study in Israel to Avishai Tebeka. I would like to call Mrs. Rena Deutsch to present the Buchach Children's Award for Character and Commitment to Torah Study in Israel to Chavi Zelenik. I would like to call Mrs. Rochelle Lipson to present the Bnei Akiva Schools Award for Excellence in the Arts to Leora Tenenbaum. I would like to call Rabbi Noam Horowitz and Ms. Miriam Besson to present the Adi Stanley Memorial Award for Athletic Excellence and Sportsmanship to Jake Rabinovich and Annie Rosenblum. I would like to call Rabbi Yosef Kurtz to present the Rabbi Moshe Goldberg Memorial Keter Shem Tov Award to William Singer Nussbaum. I would like to call Rabbi Hillel Horowitz to present the Bnei Akiva Schools Award for Tefillah Leadership to Amram Esabag. I would like to call Mrs. Efrat Burkus and Mrs. Esther Shore to present the Bnei Akiva Community Involvement and Leadership Award to Ariella Aronson, Talia Meyer, and Eretz Nidziaki.
Wait. You gotta wait.
I would like to call Mrs. Sherry Weinberg and Mrs. Miriam Klein to present the Lieutenant Governor's Community Volunteer Award to A.B. Grunfeld, Bailey Feintuck, and Leah Zwibel. Our last award of the evening is the Governor General's Academic Medal. The Governor stands for the Governor General. The Governor General's Medal, established in 1873, recognizes students who have achieved the highest academic average in their school. On behalf of Her Excellency, the Right Honorable Mary Simon, Governor General of Canada, the Governor General's Academic Medal for Olpanado Rot is presented to Emma Muscat, and for Yeshivat Or Chaim to Joseph Newman. Graduates and award recipients, congratulations. You have made us very proud.
Okay, we're almost done. A big Mazal Tov to everyone who received awards. A thank you to Mr. Horab. We have two final pieces before we bid you farewell for this evening. First, a number of thank yous. I'd like you to bear with me as I mention a few because they're all very critical and important. First of all, to our graduates, in short order, you will be graduates of an unbelievable institution that will always stand behind you. And it's important to realize that there are many different individuals who played critical roles in everything that you've accomplished. First and foremost, to our faculty and our entire administration, this has been a challenging year, perhaps the hardest we've ever experienced, and you were incredible in your devotion and commitment to your students and our entire school. Thank you. I would like to single out one person, my partner and good friend, our principal, Mr. Hiller Rapp. Mr. Rapp, thank you for your devotion to our school, your tireless efforts, often behind the scenes, for our entire students and our community. Really, all of your hard work, your commitment knows no bounds. Next to our entire administration, educational administration, office, support, development, business staff, all the individuals who help keep the wheels moving of our school, thank you to all of you. To our Rosh graduation, Mrs. Miriam Klein. What an unbelievable venue, an incredible idea. Thank you for everything. You obviously had a great team, but every team needs a leader. Thank you. To Adam Minsky, Daniel Held, and the entire staff at the Kashitsky Center for Jewish Education and the entire UJA Federation. I mention them because many of you don't know this, but UJA provides a significant amount of support, both financially and in so many other ways, to help ensure that each of you have the finest educational experience possible. Virtually every major city throughout North America has a federation, but there isn't a single federation in any other city that does more for Jewish education than we have here in Toronto, and it needs to be acknowledged. So thank you. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the members of our Beit Midrash Zichron Dov, led by our Rosh Beit Midrash, Rabbi Mordechai Tochina. The members of our Beit Midrash enhance our Yeshiva's total environment and atmosphere in so many ways, and we are lucky to have you. To our president, Mr. Aaron Ames, and our board of directors, our lay leaders, our supporters, so many of you here who make it possible for us to be so much more than a school. We wouldn't be able to do anything without your support. Thank you for your time, effort, and devotion to Bnei Akiva schools. Almost done. To our school parents, you should be so proud of what your children have accomplished. And Boaz said it, Annie alluded to it, but on behalf of all of Bnei Akiva schools, thank you for entrusting your children to us during these last 4 years, and thank you for placing your confidence in us by giving us the opportunity to educate your most prized possessions. And finally, thank you to our students. We are so proud of you. 10 years from now, we will say, did you hear what so-and-so did? You know, she graduated from Opana in 2022, or he's an Or Chaim graduate. You are joining an alumni association of over 1,000 proud graduates of this premier Torah high school institution. And I promise you, I, along with all my colleagues, will be shepherding Nachas as we watch you to continue to grow. We wish you incredible Mazal. Now for our final celebration this evening, our Siyum Hatanach. As we planned our event and we decided to come to Wonderland, we said, you know, we can't allow all the fun and games that exist within Wonderland to not have enough of a Torah component and Torah element. And I give incredible credit to Mr. Hillel Rapp for coming up with the idea of having a celebratory Siyum Hatanach at the end to mark today. All too often, Siyumim are commemorative and sad in nature, but we wanted to do something celebratory, and we thought, what an idea to have all of our seniors and all of the parents and our teachers and our Rebbeim get together and learn Tanakh in the 6 to 8 weeks prior to graduation. I personally took upon myself to learn the final pakim of Divrei Hayamim for this evening's Siyum. A quick thought along those lines, Divrei Hayamim is the longest book in all of Tanakh. Starts with Adam and goes all the way to Koresh in the rebuilding of the second Beit HaMikdash. The Sefer spans 3,000 years, and to a certain extent, it's a bit of a strange Sefer in that it repeats so much of what's contained in Sefer Shmuel and Malachim. The end of the Sefer, in brief, Koresh is inspired by God, and he sends an edict allowing the Jewish people to go back and rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. In many ways, the whole Sefer Divrei Hayamim connects the past to the present, and it ends with Shivat Zion, the returning to Israel, as our ultimate destination. Rashi even writes that Sefer Ezra and Nehemiah is actually a continuation of Sefer Divrei Hayamim. Sefer Divrei Hayamim, of course, written by Ezra, but the point of the entire Sefer is to read history and see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's master plan within our world. That is why we learn Nach in many ways, to contextualize our lives and help us see the Yad Hashem in everything. Please allow me to read the last two psukim. B'shnat echad l'koresh melech pras l'chlot tvar Hashem b'fir Yirmiyahu he'ir Hashem et ruach koresh melech paras v'yaver kol b'chol malchuto v'gam b'mechtav le'mor. 4. It was the first year of Koresh. The word of Hashem spoken to Yirmiyahu was fulfilled, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu roused the spirit of Koresh to issue a proclamation saying, Ko Amar Koresh, Melech Pras, Ko Mamlachot Ha'aretz Natan Li Hashem Elokei Hashemayim, V'hu Pakad Alai Livnot Lo Beit B'Yerushalayim, Asher b'Yehuda, mi bachem mikol amo, Hashem Elokav imo vaya'al. The king of Persia, Koresh, said, Hashem has given me all the kingdoms of the earth and has charged me with building this house in Yerushalayim. Any one of you of his people, Hashem should be with you, go up and build. 2 incredible psukim to read, and what a beautiful way to end our festivities. I thank Rabbi Yosef Kurtz for his efforts in organizing the learning for this Siyum, and I'd like to call upon Rabbi Kurtz to recite the final Kaddish. Rabbi Kurtz is not only Mashgiach Ruchani at Opanan, a Rebbe at Archaim, but also the Rabbi of Congregation Mishkan Avram. Following Rabbi Kurtz's Kaddish, please join us immediately in the singing of Hatikva, and please then remain standing until all of the graduates exit the room. There will be a ma'ariv right outside that door, exactly where we daven mincha in the far corner, just 5 minutes after the graduates exit. We thank everybody. Enjoy the festivities. Good luck. Have fun. My mistake. After the Kaddish, please sit down for the slideshow, which will be followed by everything I just announced. And Mazal Tov to you all. Thank you. Good call.
Yiskadal v'yiskadash me'rabba v'yamadu asili schadu tavach yamei sayal eska yason l'chayal v'livna karta d'Yerushalayim l'shlach l'la heichale v'gavala me'akar p'chana nuchra min ha'ral l'sava p'chana d'ishmael asra v'yam likut shabrichu m'malchuzeh v'korei v'yatzmach burganei v'korei m'shichei v'chayichon v'mechon v'chay l'chol beis Yisrael v'agalav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabba mivarach li'alam omei omaya yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yisbar v'yisarma v'yisnasei v'yishadar v'yisala v'yisala shmei digud shabrichu leila min kol berchasa v'shirasa dushbchasa v'nechumasa damiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemai v'chaim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'yirama v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Okay, please be seated and give your attention to the screen behind me.
Baruch atah Shem Elokeinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvah v'tzivonu. Baruch atah Shem Elokeinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvah v'tzivonu. V'kriyat Sahalim
Please rise for the singing of Hatikva. Okay, please remain standing while we ask our graduates to leave and exit the room first. Again, Marv in the back corner, if someone could open those back doors all the way back there, that'd be great. Rabbi Horowitz, can you open those doors all the way back there? Marv will start in just a few minutes. The camp will not open until 8 o'clock. So there's plenty of time to join us for Marv. That's the camp. Not the camp. Our shows in the back for Marv. Those remaining will see that when all the graduates leave first, the refreshments in the back is going to be there for them. They're performing in the platform today. Thank you. Thank you to all of those.